At the end of yesterday's episode, I was sort of complaining about the fact that it's kind of difficult to remove the flashing from between each one of these pieces if it's attached to the stringer like this, to the sprue. And then I thought, well, and then I said something like, well, I've got an idea. Well, my idea is this. What if I was to cut each one right there? Then I would be able to just sort of rough cut these, and then I could manipulate the piece around so that I could do a good job of nipping off and filing the edge where the sprue is attached here. And then afterwards, but then I was thinking I'd have to have, a couple of tuna fish tins, one that says D and one that says E. And then I thought, you know what? What would be wrong with, let's say I was to drill a hole in all of the D sprue, which is just these ones right here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just drill a little hole through each one of these. Then it would be real obvious that this 24 is not the same as this 24, because this 24 would have a hole in it, and I would remember that the D sprue had the holes, and the E's didn't. Yeah, I mean, a person couldn't go wrong. Well, yeah, I guess I could. Now, just in case I didn't make it clear, because I sometimes think about what I want to say, and then later I can't remember, did I actually say it, or did I just think about saying it? Anyway, the only time that I will actually cut these and separate them so that they're not all ganged together like this is in the event that I find that I can't get the file or sander or whatever I want to use at the right angle because they're all attached together. Otherwise, I will leave them ganged together because it will be a lot easier to paint. Now, normally I would not be using this Dremel tool to drill a hole in plastic because, as I mentioned probably 10 times before, its slowest speed is still way too fast. But all I want to do is just make a hole. But normally when you use this to drill a hole through plastic, a small hole like this, you end up with a hole much larger than what you think you're going to end up with because it's basically melting its way through. I was thinking while I was doing that, I should have taken it down and put it on my drill press. I could have done a much better job. But I mean, all we have to do is have a hole. Now we know that the E's have holes. Now I've talked about this before. Another reason why this does not do a good job of drilling a hole through plastic is because this chuck is not true. No matter how I put the bit in, it's not true. If I put a little shaft in there that has no flutes on the end of it, in other words, if I was to put this in backwards and then put a dialometer on it or whatever you call it, or just put something up against it while it's spinning, it's gonna vibrate. It's not running true. So it's sort of, instead of cutting its way through, it's almost, it's sort of vibrating its way through. Anyway, yeah, that's disappointing. I was really disappointed in that because I didn't expect that from Dremel. I thought it would be a precision chuck. Anyway, now I know the first thing a person thinks of when they get something like this, and it's sort of nothing. I have just cut 2 to 3 minutes out of this video. And what happened was I sort of got off on a bit of a tangent. And it got off on a little bit, you might say, might have a political slant to it. And I know that occasionally I will talk about maybe the wild rabbits that are running around outside, or maybe I'll sort of complain about how I don't like the weather that I'm seeing out my front window, that sort of thing. I don't think that's, that's got nothing to do with the model hood, but it's not really hurting anybody. But sometimes I'll come up with an opinion that differs greatly from somebody else's opinion, opinion, and I don't know. I could be wrong. So why do I try to push it, right? Yeah. So this was one of those tangents that I was just sort of stating my opinion, and other people obviously disagree with me. So we don't need that. So I've cut that out. I mean, at least in this video, I cut it out. I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep my mouth shut in the future, but, we'll just see how it goes. I'm also of the opinion that you can have any opinion you like or any belief you like, as long as you're not hurting somebody else. Okay, here now. Now, if I was to try and separate this like that, cut these right here, then it would be half on one side and half on the other. But because it's so thick, it's going to have a tendency to spread. This half will want to go this way, this half will want to go this way. So I'm thinking I can do one of two things. I can either see how close I can get right now, or I can take it the other way, which makes more sense to me because then I can do it in two nips. So we'll just go like that very gently. Like that. Now we're rid of that thing. I'll do the same thing with this. Okay, now I'll try and individually clean each one of those up. I don't know if I can do it carefully on camera or not. I'll have to think about it for a second. Okay, so here you can see number 27 and number 28. And the idea is I would like to be able to, let's say for instance we want to remove this piece of sprue right here. And I know that I could come in like this right along the edge. Now I have to be careful that I don't nip off this little piece of detail that's up at the end. See where this goes up like this, and then it kind of hangs over on the edge there. But if I'm not careful, I'll end up nipping that off. Now it'd be really nice if I could have my cutter at more of an angle, but I can't because this part is in the way. Now, I'm thinking, what if I was to rotate this about 45 degrees? Then maybe I could, come up sort of straight, if you know what I mean. But anyway, let's just see what will happen. I'll go down as much as I can here. And now from your perspective, that probably looks not too bad. Let's try the other one now. You know what, I'm going to have to put on my stronger glasses. I know some of you are thinking, you mean you didn't have them on to start with? Well, no, I didn't. I guess I can get that little bit of flashing off with a file. Mind you, we're down to almost the microscopic here. I mean, let's get rid of that. That one went good. That's not too bad. Now I was just thinking here, if I was to clamp some of my little parts like this in my vise, my mini vise, and have it on my table here, I could probably do a better job of showing you some of this small delicate work. It's not like I'm trying to teach you how to do this. If anything, it's sort of like this is how not to do it when it goes wrong, if you know what I mean. I just want to get rid of some of those little burrs there. I have to be careful I don't break this off. Yeah, that's not too bad. Yeah, I'll do the same on the other side. but I gotta be able to grab hold of that. But if I grab hold of it, then you're not going to see it. Well, you get the idea. Okay, I think I've pretty well got this. It's about as good as I'm going to do it here. Yeah. Okay, I'll do the other 4 pieces the same way. Now, if I don't do something while I'm thinking about it, I'm probably going to forget about it altogether. And we did not compare the paint, the spray with the Mr. Color Leveling Thinner versus the Tamiya with the Tamiya thinner. The Mr. Color, you remember, was about 60% thinned out. As best I remember, the Tamiya, we had done about 30% or so. I'm just guessing. Anyway, the focusing point is about right here where I'm touching. That's where it'll be the sharpest. Everything away from that or closer to that is going to sort of blur out. But right here would be the area to look and try and compare the paint on here to the paint on here. Okay, so what is going on here now? Well, in that last scene where I was using the macro lens, I just wasn't really seeing as close as I would like to have. And I wanted to see it a little better. Is the Mr. Color leveling thinner better than the Tamiya X20A? And I would have to say thinned out the way I had it, it was. Now, does that mean that if I was to use 60% of the Tamiya thinner, it might not be a little better? Like, in other words, what's happening here is, when I'm looking at it, from a photographer's point of view, the graininess or the pixelatedness, you might say, on the paint is less on the Mr. Color. It is smoother. You can still see the graininess or the little tiny bumps on the Mr. Color as well. And as I've said before, it has to be that way, because if it's completely smooth, it's going to be shiny, and then it's going to be a gloss. Now, it is better. But you know, I've got a problem. Here in Winnipeg, winter is coming on, and I can't open my windows. So what am I going to do? Well, I guess I could. You could open your windows, and the furnace is going to run a lot more. But I don't want to do that. Now, because the smell of this stuff here is so strong. It's really strong. You got to wear your face mask. And did I ever show you that thing? Okay, this is it. So you're wearing this thing, and it's really good. It filters out the the harmful fumes from the paint. But I was starting to say, just because you can't smell something doesn't mean it's not harmful. It could be that this stuff is also harmful, just because I can't smell it. Like you can't smell carbon monoxide, they say. I don't know. I've never smelled it. So maybe this stuff is harmful, and I just don't know it. But I don't think it's as harmful. Like I got to decide, what am I going to do here? Am I going to use it and have my windows? Am I going to use this and have my windows open? I don't want to have to do that. So yes, Nigel is right. This stuff does do a great job in the summertime. Well, in a recent comment, Tony was reminding me how well the photo etch did with the Stynylrez. And I think what we're going to do here is everything that is photo etch, we're going to paint it with the Stynylrez gray, and in other words, the ladders and these little parts here, and that's all. We're just going to use the Stynylrez gray. If you remember, that worked out quite well when we did the railings on the Bismarck, and the Stynylrez really stuck to the photo etch well. Now, mind you, I didn't put these in the ultrasonic cleaner like I had the railings with the Bismarck, so maybe that might have made a difference as well. I have no idea. Anyways, we're just going to do the photo etch with the Stynylrez. We're going to do everything else with the number 77. And I'll thin it out to maybe 55-60% Tamiya thinner. We'll give that a try. Okay, 20 to 30 pounds. Yeah, that's kind of what I remember with this stuff. I've got the regulator set to 30 pounds because it seems to me that we had better results with the pressure a little bit high here. I've already shaken this up. I'm not going to thin it out. It's fairly thin already. That's more than enough, but we can always pour some back, right? I know they say you're not supposed to, but most people do. Okay, let's get our fan going. This goes on for about another 6 minutes, and I have nothing but trouble. It kind of starts out kind of normal at the beginning, but not really, and then it just gets progressively worse and worse and worse until finally I give up. I think I'm going to have to increase my pressure here a bit. My rotator's not working out too good this time. problem. Gonna have to look into it. Well, I just know I'm going to be getting all kinds of comments on this one. All kinds of good ideas. Can be assured of that. But I want to know. I want to thin this out. I think it's a little bit too thick. I think that was part of the problem. Or I might have had a clog. You know, this stuff is a year and a half old or so. I don't know if I had a little lump or something that got in there and it plugged it up. But mind you, it wasn't working right from the get-go. I think the whole thing was just too thick. I don't want to use this to thin it. I'm wondering, is it okay to use this? What do you say, Tony? I'm sure you watched this and covered your eyes. In the meantime, thanks for watching. And all being well, we'll see you tomorrow.